Welcome everyone to our support session for January 29th. I'm so excited to have you here. I want to dive into the topic of avoidant attachment, or as I call it, the Solo Tango. Thank you, Linda. You love my mug, my little Charlie Brown mug that I have. I love it. It's so big. I want to talk about how the Solo Tango shows up in our relationships. So if you're familiar with attachment styles, let me know in the chat. Just say me or yes, or put a little hand up, put your little virtual hand up if you want to know. I want to know who's familiar with attachment styles and who's not, who's never heard of them before. Great. Linda's familiar with them. Perfect. Okay. So whether you're here to understand yourself or your partner, this session tonight will help you get a clearer picture of what avoidant attachment actually looks like and how it works. Great. Iskra also is familiar with them. That's so good to hear, because I dive into it a little bit, but if you're so confused at the end of this, great. Ask me more questions. But if you're familiar, I think you're going to get a little bit of a better understanding of what avoidant attachment actually is. Yeah. I suspect my ex is one, and it's why we didn't work. I see this a lot, which is why when I'm talking about avoidant attachment, often I'll talk about attachment styles as if it's yourself. But I'll be honest, it's a lot of times it is our men who are avoidant. Now, we don't know quite why that is. We don't know if it's to do with the way men are, socially raised. We don't know if it's to do with wiring. We haven't figured that part out yet. Maybe it'll be part of my research in the future, but we do see it happen time and time again. So as we go throughout the session, throughout the next few slides, we're going to break down what the key traits of avoidant attachment is and why it feels like you are dancing a solo dance, especially when it comes to intimacy. And then we're going to talk about how to break the cycle of emotional distance and invite deeper connection. So if you are listening tonight, you can take anything I say here from your own perspective. Maybe you're the avoidant. I was for a very long time. I'm disorganized attached, also called fearful avoidant, but I like to call it disorganized. I'm disorganized attached, or I was, but I leaned heavily avoidant. So when I talk about this stuff, it comes from a lot of what I've been through, but I see it a lot in men. And so if it's whether it's you or it's your partner, you can get a lot out of this. So before we jump into the details, I want to do a quick check-in again. Let me get this up real quick. So let me know in the chat. Do you ever notice yourself or your partner pulling away when things get emotionally intense or too close? Type yes in the chat, or tell me about a time when your partner pulled away, or maybe you pulled away when things got emotionally too close. Yes, Ashley says yes with the exclamation point. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And for you, Ashley, was that yourself? Or was it your husband, or was it even, it doesn't happen with both of you, right? It can often happen with both of us. So let me know in the chat. I want to get to know you guys today. I want to know, where are you in your relationships? Are you struggling with the pull away? Are you the one pulling away? Is it your partner that's pulling away? I want to know, because the thing is, hold on. Yeah, both actually. I know I see it a lot in both too. And Emily says, yeah, he pulled away when I needed comfort. Oh, I see that so much. It's like the more you need, the more he can't handle it. And we'll talk about why that is. And so the more they pull away, and it can make you feel needy or clingy or like you're too much, but that's not true. It's just a part of their own defense mechanism. And Iskra says, yes, she's FA and her ex was DA. Lots of pulling away going on. Yeah, that pull away, whoo, it is strong. That pull out, oh my gosh, yeah, it is just an intense need to happen. And we'll talk about why that is, because this is the quintessential behavior for someone dancing the solo tango. So as we go through the session, I want you to pay attention to whether you recognize any of these behaviors in yourself or your partner. And then I'll help you understand why certain reactions happen and how you can address them. So let's dive into avoidant attachment, or as I love to call it, the solo tango. And I want you to imagine that you're in a dance. You're out on the dance floor. You're with your partner. It's incredibly passionate. It's precise. It's beautiful. It's in sync. But then there's a twist, and all of a sudden, your partner, out of nowhere, is keeping you at arm's length. See, he's dancing all over the floor, but he isn't engaging with you in the process. And in fact, everyone else on the dance floor, they seem to look at him with awe and excitement because he seems to have it all together. He's doing amazing all out there on his own. He seems to be dancing this amazing dance. But beneath the surface, there's a fear. He's afraid that if he pulls you back into the dance floor with him, he's going to lose his place in the rhythm. He's afraid that if he gets too close to you, his dance partner, he is going to mess everything up for the both of you. So he keeps you away and he keeps on dancing. And that's what the solo tango is all about: independence and self reliance. So people with avoidant attachment, they tend to feel overwhelmed when emotional closeness starts to build. Or, as we saw, when somebody needs more, when somebody needs to be comforted, they get too overwhelmed. So they instinctively pull away to maintain control and keep their emotional distance. That's why tonight I want to talk to you about what exactly is avoidant attachment. And during this point, I'll explain what dancing the solo tango actually looks like. And then we'll also talk about why avoidants keep their distance, what the root cause of this need for space is, and why so many of them do this, why it's so essential. And then we're going to dive into how to break the cycle, either for yourself or for your partner. So as we move through this, again, think about what I'm talking about. Is it something you experience yourself, or is it something that you're experiencing through your partner? Is it something they're doing? And really check in with yourself and see if the solo tango sounds familiar to you. So let's first break down what exactly avoidant attachment is. Something we hear about a lot, very trendy word going on there. As you see, some of you have familiarity with it, some of you might not. But at its core, avoidant attachment is a deep seated need for independence and self reliance. If you identify with this or you see this in your partner, it means that emotional closeness can feel overwhelming or even threatening. The person with avoidant attachment often pulls away because they're afraid of getting too close and that this is going to jeopardize their sense of control, their identity, and their emotional safety. So, what does this actually look like though in practice? So, imagine you've been reaching out for connection, but the avoidant person responds with a emotional distance or a need for space. This may not be because they don't care, and they actually may care a little bit too much. So I want to stop that story right there. It's not that they don't care, it's that they care so much. And it's this vulnerability and emotional closeness that triggers this fear for them. They've learned that emotional distance is actually a safer place to be. And this pulling away or keeping you at arm's length, it's often an unconscious, maladapted coping mechanism developed all the way back in childhood when they learn to rely on themselves rather than seeking comfort from others. And that is why the solo tango feels like a dance of independence. But while it might feel safe for the person with the avoidant attachment, it can leave their partner feeling disconnected, lonely, or frustrated. Like, so let me know in the chat right now if you're following along. Come back with me. Have you ever felt disconnected, lonely, or frustrated because your partner pulled away? Just type yes in the chat if that sounds like you. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm getting lots of yeses. So common. I know. It can feel safe to the person with avoidance, but to their partner, it's devastating. Yeah. See, you're not alone. See all these other yeses? And that's why I want to talk about why avoidants keep their distance. Because I think what happens is the sadness, the frustration, everything going on when they pull away, we start to tell ourselves a story. They don't care about us. They don't love us. Did they ever even really love us? Did they ever actually want to be in this relationship? But see, they prefer to dance alone instead of with a partner because it is at the root of their safety that they need this space. That is the root cause. It's all about safety for them. So, at the heart of all of this pull away, it's just self protection. So, for someone with avoidant attachment, closeness can feel like a threat to their emotional safety. When things get too close, they may feel like they're losing their sense of control, their autonomy, or their independence. So they instinctively pull away to protect themselves. This behavior does not come from a place of not caring. Rather, it's a learned response from early life experiences. Most likely in childhood, that's where it starts. It can be reinforced in teenager years and in young adulthood and onwards. But it stems from childhood. They did not receive the emotional support they needed, or did they learn how to take care of themselves in an interdependent way? Instead, they learned that relying on others was very unsafe. It was oftentimes they were left made to be left to be alone, Maybe they were abused if they asked for something. Maybe they were neglected. And over and over, this leads to the belief that they're better off handling things alone, and emotional distance feels like the safest option. So the distance becomes a way of keeping things under control. See, it's just about control. It's a way of protecting themselves from the risk of getting hurt, rejected, or overwhelmed. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it. When we do this, like when I did this to my partners, I was protecting myself from getting hurt, rejected, or overwhelmed. But what was I doing in the process? I was making my partner feel hurt, rejected, and overwhelmed. So it's something we want to get in control of. But see, when intimacy starts to build, whether it's in a relationship or a conversation, the avoidant starts to feel trapped. It's huge for them. And this is why they may need to withdraw to maintain their emotional autonomy. Emotional autonomy for an avoidant is huge. It's their lifeline. It's like a reflex for them to get back away, for them to just completely pull away when things get too close, even if they really care about you. And again, to be clear, sometimes it's because they care so much. So imagine this. You're in a dance with someone and the music is starting to build and you start to feel a little bit too close to them. You're out on the dance floor and you're starting to dance with them and you're having a good time. But you're starting to get a little bit too close. And now you're feeling a little bit too exposed. And now people are starting to watch you and you're kind of feeling really uncomfortable. You might feel like you're losing your place in the rhythm. And so you instinctively start to pull away from your dance partner to get some space. That's kind of how avoidants feel when intimacy starts to build. They start feeling overwhelmed or trapped, and they need to withdraw in order to maintain their emotional autonomy. But at the heart of avoidant attachment is the fear of losing their independence or being emotionally vulnerable. Their instinct is first and foremost to protect themselves, even if that means stepping back from the connection. So now, when we've talked about avoidant attachment, what it is, where it comes from, where it stems from, what the root cause is, we want to talk about how to break the cycle. Whether it's for yourself or for your partner, when you're dancing the solo tango, it can feel like you're stuck in a repetitive pattern of emotional distance. The good news is, just like any dance, you can learn new steps and create a more balanced rhythm. It just takes practice, repetition, and time. And the key is to move towards emotional safety and gentle connection. There are quite a few ways to do that, of course. And it's what I talk about a ton in my program and in the Facebook group and as we go along. So we're not going to get into all of them here, but we'll go into some of the details to get a few ideas. If you're interested in more ideas or what to do, you can always join the Relationship Reboot program where we dive into this in so much detail. But let's start first what to do if you yourself are an avoidant. So, first, you want to start small. So, if this is sounding like you, if you pull away when things get too close, I don't want you to dive into a big relationship right now or a big conversation right off the bat. Instead, I want you to start with a small, low pressure interaction, preferably with someone you feel safe with in case, you mess it all up and you get overwhelmed. And then you want to try engaging in something vulnerable for you and check in with your body as you do. So when you feel like you need to stop and run away, I want you to stay. Maybe you're feeling that right now. Maybe in a little bit we're going to go into a Q&A and you're struggling with avoidant tendencies and you want to ask a question. And as I'm talking to you, you're feeling an intense need to shut down and run away. In that moment, you could state that feeling to us. You could say, "Jen, I'm feeling like I need to run." And I'd say, "Thank you for sharing that. Could you please stay with us?" And in that moment, you are rewiring your brain to teach you that it is safe to ask for what you need. And even though your body and everything inside of you is saying, "I want to run away right now," you're also telling your body, "Yes, but we're trying out something new." So, doing this with a person or with a community like us that you can trust can begin to teach you and your body that you're safe to stay and connect. Now, if you're sitting there and you're like, "Yeah, that sounds great, Jim, but I don't have a problem with connecting. I love connecting. It's him. He's the problem," right? If you are the person in the relationship with the avoidant, what you can do is you can be that safe person for them right now. So you can be a safe space to create room for them to feel comfortable with their emotional autonomy. If they need to stop, let them. If they need to take space, let them. Allow them the freedom and autonomy that is needed in their lives while they stay present. This is how we help them feel safe in the relationship. This is what we would call holding space. Have you ever heard that term? Kind of, it's in the mental health world a lot. Like, oh, can I hold space for you right now? What does it actually mean? This is what it means. It means fully and truly accepting someone for completely who they are and listening to what they need. And when we can hold space for our avoidant partners, we teach them that our relationship is a safe space. So if you're out on the dance floor with them and they start dancing the solo tango by pushing you away and doing their own thing, don't stalk off the dance floor and get pouty and get upset and leave them. Don't emotionally distance yourself from them. Instead, be on the sidelines and cheer them on. Cheer them on with everyone else. Love them through their dance and show them that you are a safe space to come back to when they're ready. And the main thing to remember is that over time, consistent, non pressured moments of connection will build comfort with intimacy. And think of it like slowly sinking your steps in a dance until the rhythm feels more natural. It's important to remember that this process isn't about forcing closeness or pushing someone beyond their comfort zone. It's about creating an environment where both partners feel secure and emotionally safe enough to step in and out of the dance without fear of losing their footing. So now let's go ahead and recap what we've talked about today. So first, we talked about how avoidants value their independence, right? They need their independence and emotional autonomy. For them, emotional closeness can feel threatening, so they instinctively pull away. Next, we keep their distance. Sorry, I was thinking about myself as well. We keep our distance to protect ourselves, right? Avoidants keep their distance to protect themselves. It's not about rejecting their partner. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they never loved you, but rather it's about maintaining control and safety of their emotions in the moment. It's a safety thing. And then breaking the cycle. This involves creating emotional safety, being patient, and allowing space for connection without pressure. And this works whether you're the avoidant or you're the partner. Small, consistent moments of connection help build the rhythm of trust. So take a moment and reflect on the three key points that we talked about tonight. Where do you see yourself in these points? Where do you see your partner in these points? And how is this dynamic working for the two of you? Understanding why we behave the way that we do is the first step to breaking the cycle and creating healthier, more balanced relationships. So, as we wrap up today's sessions, I am going to, here we go, share the journal prompts for the week. And again, our journal prompts, I put the link in. If you need the link again for the journal prompts, just let me know in the chat. I'll grab it for you. And these are the same questions. We'll go over them tonight, but you can also use them later on in your journaling and your meditation. But I want to know, when you feel emotionally overwhelmed, do you tend to pull away or shut down? I'll grab you the link in just a second, Lisa. What triggers that response for you? What is triggering you to shut down and pull away? What's going on there? Here you go, Lisa. Next, how do you feel about emotional closeness? Does it feel uncomfortable or overwhelming when things get too close? So take a look at that for yourself. And third, what's one small step this week you can take to invite more emotional closeness in your relationships, either with yourself or with others, without feeling pressured? So take some time to sit with these questions tonight or during our Q&A portion. And I want you to understand your own patterns, your own behaviors, because the more you do, the easier it will be to create healthier, more connected relationships. So I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight. I'll open up the session to the group now to see if anyone has any questions about tonight's session, or if they want to do a mini coaching lesson, a hot seat coaching with me. Just let me know. Again, let me know in the chat or raise your virtual hand and I'll get to you first come, first serve. And while we get settled into the Q&A part of the night, let me ask you right now, as you're thinking about this, what are some aha moments